Yeah?
You can't have this one here.
Our Uganda Law Society Election Watch and Rapid Response Mechanism for the 2026 general elections. It is based on the background that Uganda's electoral processes have in recent years been characterized by persistent and grave human rights violations that undermine constitutionalism, democratic governance, and the rule of law. Particularly, when you look at that's the 2021 general elections, they were marked by widespread arbitrary arrests and detentions, abductions of members and supporters of opposition political parties, and the excessive use of force by security agencies. Notably, in November 2020, security operatives deployed disproportionate and unnecessary force during the management of opposition-led peaceful protests ahead of the elections. These actions resulted in extrajudicial killing of at least 54 persons and the disappearance of hundreds of supporters of the National Unity Platform. These incidents constituted serious violations of the right to life, personal liberty, freedom of assembly, and freedom from torture, cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment. Since that time, since the 2021 elections, the human rights situation in Uganda has further deteriorated. This regression is evidenced by a rapidly shrinking democratic and civic space, increasing suppression of dissent, and systematic targeting of political opposition members, human rights defenders, journalists, and other critics of the government. More recently, during the National Resistance Movement Party primary elections for various elective positions that were held in July, these were marred by violence, intimidation, and widespread allegations of electoral fraud. Similarly, in the recent Kawempe North by-election held in March 2025, it was also characterized by violence, particularly against journalists who were targeted, the media personnel, and this posed a grave threat to press freedom and the public's right to information. Now, the ongoing presidential campaign period, which commenced in August 2025, has followed a deeply troubling and consistent pattern of violations characterized by the arbitrary arrest and detention of opposition supporters, particularly members of the National Unity Platform, as well as human rights activists and defenders, such as the prominent activist Dr. Sarah Birete. There have been numerous reports of beatings alongside heavy and militarized deployment of security forces at campaign rallies, creating an atmosphere of intimidation. Now, of grave concern are unlawful public pronouncements by some security personnel purporting to prohibit citizens from remaining at or around polling stations after voting in total violation of the law and established electoral procedures, thereby posing direct threat to electoral transparency, public confidence, and the integrity of the electoral process. Now, as the Uganda Law Society, what is our mandate and what is our role? The Uganda Law Society derives its mandate from the Uganda Law Society Act, Cap 305, and under Section 3 of the Act, the Society is mandated to protect and assist the public in Uganda in all matters touching, ancillary, or incidental to the law. The conduct of free, fair, and credible elections is a central pillar of constitutional democracy and the rule of law. Elections directly implicate the protection and the enjoyment of fundamental rights and freedoms, including freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, personal liberty, and access to justice. Accordingly, the 2026 general elections present a critical constitutional moment that necessitates active engagement by the bar in safeguarding human rights and upholding the rule of law. And this is what we've done as the Uganda Law Society. We've created what we call the ULS Election Watch and Rapid Response Mechanism. In response to the prevailing human rights and electoral context as mentioned above, the Law Society has established an election watch and rapid response mechanism for the 2026 general election. Under the election watch, ULS has opened participation to its members, over 6,000 members across the country, to serve as election observers and legal monitors. A standardized reporting template has been rolled out to enable advocates stationed at their respective locations, even where they will vote from, to systematically observe electoral processes, document incidents, and submit real-time data on human rights violations, electoral malpractices, and abuse of power. The incident reports generated through this process will provide a credible evidentiary basis for timely legal intervention, including securing remedies for victims and engaging relevant authorities where violations occur. In addition, ULS, under the Radical New Bar leadership, has established an election monitoring unit mandated to centrally coordinate, analyze, and monitor election-related developments on behalf of the bar. This unit will serve as the institutional nerve, Center for Election Observation, Documentation, and Legal Response. Now, the rapid response and pro bono legal support. Recognizing what has been happened and the urgent need for immediate legal assistance during the electoral periods, the Radical New Bar has constituted a rapid response team composed of advocates across the country who are committed to offering instant pro bono services to the victims of these occurrences and this violence. A toll-free line, that is 0800355355, has been established and will operate throughout the electoral period. Members of the public are therefore encouraged to contact this toll-free in line of, if someone has to request for urgent legal assistance, report incidents of human rights violations, including arbitrary arrest, detention, abductions, violence, and intimidation, and report violations affecting journalists, political actors, and voters. Upon receiving a report, ULS will promptly link affected persons to advocates, an advocate within their locality, or deploy appropriate legal interventions to ensure their rights and safety. Why are we doing this and what are our objectives? The overarching objective of the ULS Election Watch and Rapid Response Mechanism is to promote accountability, protect human rights, and strengthen the rule of law during the 2026 general elections. And specifically, the initiative seeks to, 1, document and preserve credible evidence of human rights violations and electoral abuses. 2, provide timely and effective legal assistance to victims of election-related violations. 3, deter impunity through visible legal presence and rapid intervention. And 4, pursue legal action against perpetrators, whether acting in their individual capacity or on behalf of their institutions. The ultimate goal, therefore, is to ensure that all persons who violate human rights are held accountable in accordance with the law, and the victims of electoral violence and abuse obtain justice and appropriate remedies. We are here to do that. As I conclude, the Uganda Law Society reaffirms its constitutional and statutory duty to stand with the people of Uganda and in defense of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Through the Election Watch and Rapid Response Mechanism, ULS commits to playing an active, professional, and principled role in ensuring that the 2026 general elections are conducted in an environment that respects human dignity, constitutionalism, and accountability. We wish to also make this clarion call to all the ULS members across the country. I've told you we have over 6,000 members who are enrolled and others who are not enrolled, to actively take part in this process from wherever they will be, where they are voting from, where they are staying. And we call upon them to do this by reporting the incidents of election malpractice and illegalities by filling the form that will be provided on your respective emails and sending it back to the Secretariat. That is the best way you can serve mankind and cement your relevance to society. For God and my country, signed by myself, Asima Anthony, Vice President, Uganda Law Society. I'll ask my colleague Chima to give us
states who are here. My name is Emmanuel Egar Omiat. I represent the members of the Northern Bar on Uganda Law Society's Council. Now, we are talking about elections, the forthcoming elections. And indeed, it is a very important exercise. I look at voting as a language because when you vote, you are speaking democracy. You are speaking your needs. You are speaking your preferences. You are speaking your satisfaction. You are speaking your dissatisfaction. And so this makes voting very, very important, because it's an opportunity for you to express what you want, how you want to be governed. And so voting is just not going to vote. There's a lot involved in it. And so we want to encourage the citizens to come out in large numbers and you go and vote. And voting is a right that cannot be derogated. It's a right that, as a citizen, you must take it seriously. It's like the food we eat. When we don't vote, when we don't elect the right leaders, we see a lot of challenges, a lot of trouble. And so, like my colleagues have already mentioned, as Uganda Law Society, we are coming out firm. And we are coming out to ensure that this process is done fairly. And so we know election comes with a lot of challenges. And that is why we are very ready. As members of the Northern Bar, my colleagues are very ready to give all the relevant support. And so we know people will be arrested, we know people will need legal remedies, and so members are very ready and are very much willing to give pro bono legal services to help our people. And so I want to encourage all of us, all of my colleagues, and the citizens to take this exercise as a serious one. Thank you very much.
I represent the Western Uganda on the ULS Council. As you all know, Western Uganda is composed of very many districts which speak different languages, so I will send my message to them in the unifying language of English. It has already been mentioned, the essence of an election in a democracy is for us to exercise our choice of leaders that we want to take us through the next 5 years of leadership. So I also add my voice to what my colleagues have already said, that come in big numbers and vote, and also ensure that we keep and maintain peace and order during the process of elections. Of course, we know that a lot of focus is on the presidential and parliamentary election, which is the most contested. But across the whole month of January, we shall have various elections for different local leaderships, town councils, mayoral races. So I think up to around the 25th of January, we are going to be in that period of voting. So voting does not only end on 15th, but even on the other dates that have been gazetted by the Electoral Commission. Come and exercise your voices. In Western Uganda, ULS has a presence through our regional legal aid project offices of Uganda Law Society. So for those that are in those regions and you cannot easily, let's say, go through this number that has been provided to you, feel free to reach any of our offices within the regions. We have a legal aid project office in Kabale, that is the westernmost part, which covers areas of Kisoro, Kabale, Rukunjiri, and Kanungu. So for any Ugandan there who may, suffer any election-related injustice, feel free to reach our office there. We have an office in Mbarara, the legal aid project of ULS, Mbarara Clinic, which covers the greater Ankole region. We have a regional office in Kabarole. We have another in Masindi. So for those in those areas of Western Uganda, you can feel free to reach to any of the nearest ULS regional offices for quick action and address. Like our colleagues have already mentioned, advocates across the country have been mobilized and they are ready to intervene and assist where necessity will arise during the electoral period. I wish you a peaceful electoral period, and like we have already emphasized, let us maintain peace. And like my colleague from the north has said, it is within your right to stay 20 meters away from the polling station. So be there and protect your vote, because at the end of the day, your vote must count. For God and my country, thank you so much for listening to me.
My name is Sali Babu, Acting Secretary, Uganda Law Society, and my message to the public during such a critical time of voting is that let members turn up in large numbers, let members vote, because voting is your civic right and duty, and the voting or election process starts from 15th of January to 7th of February. That's when we shall have the last elections at the bottom, the grassroots. And my call to all the members is turn up in large numbers, cast your votes, and ensure that you protect your votes, because it is your right to vote and it is your right to guard your vote. And also to the security agencies, earlier in the day, I happened to be with the IGP, that is at the election observers briefing at Mistil, and he re-echoed the need for peace, the need for calm, and promised that the security agencies shall not act partially, they shall be impartial, and there will not be that much violence, except if the same is met with violence. But however, this is a call to all members of the public that, as has been, we have witnessed several actions of human rights abuse before, and we really don't think this is going to be any different, because we have already seen that during the campaign trails. Several arrests have been made. Actually, several arbitrary arrests have been made. Many have been kept in undesignated places. So the same is likely to happen, most notably with the recent commissioning or swearing in of the court-martial panel. We would expect the worst, but as my colleagues have spoken, Uganda Law Society, just like other stakeholders, have come up with rapid response units, and the paralegal as well as lawyers who will offer pro bono services to those who will be affected. Therefore, my message is that once a person feels they have been victimized or you have evidence of election violence, feel free to call on those numbers that have been provided and you will be helped.
Making, and the one we've pronounced right now is for the general public. It is not aimed at helping a specific group of people, because like we said, have over 7,000 members, lawyers across the country, and these 7,000 lawyers belong to different sects. Now, the issue you're bringing up of a declaration of saying we shall not be neutral, it's really came at the backdrop of saying, you know, we stopped being neutral because there is a lot of oppression against a specific group. Now, the intervention we've put across, why we've put it across the country, is that it's done at the very grassroots, because people will know the information that is being collected or the intervention that has been made, because you'll see many people being represented regardless of their parties. If someone has been arrested and they belong to the NRM group, and you say lawyer in court representing them and is a member of the Uganda Law Society, definitely that alone brings that credibility. So it is what we shall do within this period that will really set the standard on whether to trust or believe in what we are doing or not. And that's what we are here to tell you, that the National Bar or the Uganda Law Society, we shall not sit back and fold our hands like every other person when we are seeing a lot of human rights abuses, when we are seeing the media personnel, the citizens being tortured, being battered, and a lot of illegalities ongoing, yet it is our mandate, according to the law. We are mandated by the law to do that, to grant that report, Section 3, which I mentioned. So it is the law that allows us to do that. I think our position is very clear. You know, we must follow the law. No one has the right or the power to give a position that is contrary to an established law. We have the Presidential Elections Act, the Parliamentary Elections Act, which is very clear that a person can vote as long as they are standing 20 meters away from the table of voting. The law gives people a right to stay there. No one has the right to take away that right. Not even, we've seen security personnel saying that it is very wrong. It is really absurd that we have people who are supposed to protect the law coming up and blatantly misleading the members of the public. But this is also a misdoing of the Electoral Commission, which should have been sensitizing people way before about this. These are the things they needed to have sensitized people about. So for us, we go by the law. It's the rule of law. What the law provides for is what we stand for. And the law says people should stay, but stand at least 20 meters from the table, from the voting table, and no one has the right to chase them away. And I think you had some colleagues mention it. Our position is no one has the right to chase away people from the polling station as long as they are peaceful and they are 20 meters away from the table. In fact, the counting of the elections and the declaration should be done there and then at that particular polling station when the people who have voted are there, so that they know the outcome of what they have done. A central reporting, area, a pool. The form we mentioned, which we've sent out, apart from the people will be on ground, there's a specific team that will be on ground with specific reporting tools, sending answers to specific questions of incidents. We shall even have videos captured. We shall have, that's why we call it a real-time reporting. So what happens, this team will sit, the central team will sit and gather all this data that has been sent through. And the tool has been designed in such a way that the person who is sending it even gives the contact, the details of where they've sent it from, and their name. So if someone is, for example, in Kanung, they'll give the name of a polling station and the person who has sent this information, so that if we need to verify further, we can even call that person and get more information, so that by the time we give our report, it is credible. By the time we act or we take action, we have credible and reliable information with clear evidence. What we are trying to do is to make sure that we have evidence that we can act on in case we intend to take any action, and that's how we've designed our reporting tools.
Kuno kwe kwogera kwaffe ng'aba Radical New Bar aba Uganda Law Society. Emabegako Uganda ebadde eyina obuzibu bw'okulonda, emivuyo mu kulonda, obutakwasaganya amateeka mu kulonda, okumenya amateeka g'okulonda n'okutulugunya abantu. Naye ng'ate ebintu ebyo bikolebwa abakuumisa eddembe, abandi badde bakuuma abantu. Kijjukirwa nti mu 2020 abakuuma ddembe baleeta abantu bangi, bakwata abantu bangi abaali bagezaako okutambula mu mirembe nga bagezaako okuwakanya okulonda n'ebintu ebimu ebyali mu kulonda kw'omwaka ogwo 2021, era bakwata abantu nga 54 ab'ekibiina kya NUP. Ebintu bino byalimu okutulugunya abantu, okubajjako eddembe lyabwe ery'obulamu, abamu baafa, okubajjako eddembe lyabwe ery'obwebange, n'eddembe lyabwe okubaako bye boogera eribaweebwa ssemateeka. Okuva 2021 okuva mu kulonda kwa 2021 okulinnyirira eddembe kugenze nga kweyongera, ate era kuno kugaziye nnyo abantu oba gavumenti tekyakuuma ssemateeka. Abantu b'oludda oluvuganyizibwa, ab'opposition banyigirizibwa nnyo, kale tebeeyagala mu kulonda ne bannamawulire, abalwanirizi b'eddembe, bonna bakosebwa nga bagezaako okwetaba mu bintu by'okulonda kuno. Emabegako 2025 NRM bwe baateekawo akamyufu, mwalaba okunyigirizibwa kuno era kwabeerawo, ne mu kulonda kuno okwaddibwamu okwekawempe, mwalaba okutyoboola kw'eddembe okwali okw'ekika eky'obwaggulu. Abeesimbyewo nga banyigirizibwa, abalwanirizi b'eddembe, bannamawulire n'abantu abalala, kyokka ng'ate abanyigiriza eddembe lino bakozi ba gavumenti. Mu kulonda kuno okugenda mu maaso, mulabye nti okwatandika mu Gw'omunaana 2025, mulabye nti ebintu ebibadde bibeerawo binyigiriza abantu byennyamiza. Olw'ensonga mulabye abannamawulire abakubibwa, mulabye abantu abajja okwetaba mu campaigns bwe bakubibwa, mulabye abeesimbawo engeri gye bakubibwa, abantu bakwatibwa ne basibibwa, abantu battibwa, kye tulowooza nti si kituufu era tekyandigenze mu maaso. Kale nno ffe nga bannamateeka, ng'ekibiina ekikulembera oba ekitwala bannamateeka Uganda Law Society, tuweebwa etteeka eritutwala okukuuma, okuyambako okukwasisa enfuga ya ssemateeka okugenda mu maaso. Ate era nga tulowooza nti mu nkola eya ssemateeka n'eya demokurasiya, okulonda kye kimu ku bintu eby'enkizo ennyo. Okulonda kuno kwe tugendamu n'olw'ensonga eyo ng'ekibiina ekitwala balooya tulina okwenyigiramu butereevu mu nsonga eyo. Kati nno kiki kye tusazeewo okukola nga bannamateeka? Tusazeewo okukuleeta mu mbeera eno omuli okunyigirizibwa okw'ekika ekyewaggulu n'okutyoboola eddembe ly'obuntu, ne tuteekawo kye bayita election watch and rapid response. Tutaddewo akakiiko akagenda okubeera nga kalondoola ebigenda okubeerawo mu kulonda, era mu bbanga lino bannamateeka okwetooloola eggwanga lyonna, Uganda yonna, bayitibwa okubeera nga bagenda kukola nga bakalondoozi b'ebigenda okubeerawo nga mu kulonda kuno, mu bbanga ery'okulonda kuno. Era mu kulonda kuno, mu kulondoola ebinyigiriza abantu mu kulonda, twagala okufuna obujulizi obusobola okulumika n'okukakasa nti mu butuufu eddembe ly'abantu lyatyoboolwa oba eddembe teryatyoboolwa. Abantu balonda bulungi oba tebalonda bulungi. Mulimu abantu abafiiramu, ebitongole ebikuuma ddembe bye baatuwa kituufu bikuumye eddembe oba ate byeyongedde kulinnyirira ddembe ly'abantu. Kale gwe mugaso gwa komiti eyo egenda oteekebwawo naye ng'ekulemberwa balooya bannamateeka. Era tutaddewo n'abantu bannamateeka abagenda okuyamba abantu mu mbeera eno ku bwereere. Kikola kitya? Waliwo ennamba y'essimu gye nsaba okubasomera, era tugenda gisaculatinga ne ku mikutu gyaffe. Ennamba eyo ey'essimu ogikuba ya bwereere, tosasula. Gwe bw'okuba ng'olina ky'olabye oba obuyambi bwe weetaaga, bakuweereza munnamateeka akuli okumpi asobola okukuyamba. Ennamba eyo eri 08 00 35 53 55. Ennamba eyo ogikubako emikutu gyonna. Toweetaaga kubeera na airtime, ogikubako ne bakukwata n'obabulira ensonga yo ne bakuweereza omuntu asobola okukuyambako. Kiki nno kye tusuubira mu bantu? Oba kiki kye tusuubira abantu okubeera nga beetaaga ku nnamba eyo? Okubeera nga weetaaga obuyambi okuva munnamateeka yenna akubeera okumpi, okuwaayo oba okuwaabira obulinnyirizi bw'eddembe obuli mu kitundu kyo mu kaseera kano ak'okulonda, n'okuwaayo okutyoboola eddembe lya bannamawulire, kuba tukizudde nga bannamawulire be basinga okututuusaako ebibeera mu kulonda okwo, ate eddembe lyabwe erinyigirizibwa nnyo, bakubibwa, tebakkirizibwa kukwata bintu bigenda mu maaso kubiraga nsi. Kale omuntu yenna ali eyo alaba ebintu bino atuyambeko okuba ku nnamba eyo okutegeeza ebigenda mu maaso. Ekigendererwa kya kino ki? Tusuubira nti ebintu ebyo byonna n'akakiiko kano akateereddwawo kye tusuubira okuggyamu nti tugenda kubeera mu buwandi nga tulina obuwandiike ku rekodi n'obujulizi obulaga nti mutuufu eddembe ly'abantu mu kulonda kuno okuwedde lyakuumibwa bulungi nnyo nga ssemateeka bw'esaba oba lyanyigirizibwa nga tulina obujulizi. Tusuubira okuleeta okuwaabira obumenyi bw'amateeka, okuyimiriza obumenyi bw'amateeka obugenda mu maaso, tusobole okulaba nti okulonda okugenda okuddako ate lisi ripooti eno bweweebwa bonna bwekikwatako, gavumenti eribeerawo esobola okulaba nti ebintu bino tebiddamu kubeerawo. Tukomekereza ng'ekitongole ekyabannamateeka ekya Radical New Bar nga tugamba tukoowoola bannansi mwenna mugende mulonde ku lunaku lwa 15. Tukoowoola bapuliida bonna akasanvu n'okusukka be tulina mu ggwanga lyonna nti kino kitukakatako kuba ssemateeka akituyitira okukikola, kitukakatako okubeera nga tulondoola okulaba nti abantu balonda mu bwenkanya era mu ddembe ne mu ssemateeka nga bw'ayogera. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala. Ku lwa Katonda n'ensi yange. Erinnya Lule Alexander Nkima, Central Acting Representative ku ULS. Ekibuuzo ekizze era ekiriwo mu ggwanga kya okukuuma akalulu mita 2 aba security abamu bavuddeyo nga bagamba si kituufu, naye ffe nga bannamateeka tuzze tukinnyonnyola lunye nti kituufu etteeka erifuga ebyokulonda likkiriza munnayuganda yenna alonze okubeera awalondeddwa n'alinda mpaka akalulu nga kamaze okubalibwa. Meters 2 kye tubasaba kiri kimu, mukuume mu ddembe nga temuleetawo kutaataaganya bakuumaddembe bonna. Kyokka ate era tusaba ne bakuumaddembe nammwe temutaataaganya abantu abaliwo mu mirembe mubaleke, temubakyokooza, temubakyankalanya, bakuuma akalulu kaabwe ke bamaze okuba.
I'm going to use the Lusoga language. So maina gange nize munamateeka Isiko Arthur nga ndi muwanika w'ekitongole ekya Uganda Law Society. Ekitongole ekyabata kidi n'ekitongole ekigayita abalooya mu Uganda yona yona. Era tuli kujja mu biseera ebyokulonda. Nga bwe mukidi bulungi weekend tujja kuba tulonda president niba members of parliament gye tuva. Ng'ekitongole kya Uganda Law Society bulido tuyidanga tukibona nti waliwo okumena mu bifo ebimu okumena amateeka. Tubona abantu nga bakubwa tiyagasi, twabona abantu nga basibwa, twabona bawandiise nga ba activists Dr. Sara Birete bagemwa, abantu abandi balemesebwa okuba nga bajja campaigninga mu bifo ebyendawulo. So twakibona nti ng'ekitongole kya Uganda Law Society nti gye tweyongerayo eyo biyinza okuba nga oluusi bitambula bulungi mu bifo ebimu. So ng'ekitongole kya Uganda Law Society tusazeewo okuba nga tutawa akakiiko oba kiwandiise committee, rapid response committee, nga akakiiko ako kajja kuba nga kali mu balooya bona mu Uganda. Balooya saali tuli kujja mu balooya 7 nga balooya abo bona balina ebifo gye bakola ki gye balonderamu. Tujja kuba tulondoola eneeyisa yona egy'okuba nga etambulira mu bifo abantu gye balondera. Nga 1 tujja kuba twetegereza batandika sawa emekedde okulonda, era bwe tukubiriza ekitongole kya electoral commission okuba nga abantu batandikira mu biseera ebirambikibwa mu mateeka okulonda. Betera okuwulira nti abantu especially abali mu Central Region abali kumpi ne headquarters eda electoral commission batandika sawa 6 abandi okulonda. Webuuza nti baba gyatandika sawa 6 then banaamaliriza bati abantu bona okuba nga bawa statement daibwe. So ng'ekitongole kya Uganda Law Society tujja kuba tulondoola ekintu ekyo, abantu batandika sawa emekedde okulonda. Ekyokubiri ekintu ky'okuba nti abantu basobola okuba nga babona ebijja mu maiso. Enaku dino wabairengawo ekintu ky'okuba nti abantu bakoba omala okulonda gyeka. Ekintu ekyo kibaire ino mu mawulire ng'abantu abandi bakoba omala okulonda gyeka otyamu olinde ebinaava mu kulonda. Ife ng'ekitongole kya Uganda Law Society tukoba nti amateeka bamalayiro okugawandiika. Omuntu oba omaze okulonda nga okayenda okuba nga obona ebijja mu maiso, oli waidembe okuba nga oli within the vicinity oba nga oli mu kifo abantu balondera aye nga okuuma distance ya meters 2. So abo bona bavayo bakuba nti iwe gyeka ekyo tikituufu kodinga niwe akoze eki niwe ayenze ng'omuntu. Ebyo nabyo tuli kubikola olw'okuba nti amateeka gatuwa obuyinza obwo okuba nga tuwabula gavumenti, tuwabula abantu nga tubalambiika oba twongera okuba nga tubatangaza amateeka kyegakola ki kyegakoba. Tutayirewo layini ey'eisimu omuntu yena ali eyo gyasobola okuba nga akubako. Singa oba nga olemesebwa okuba nga olonda bakudema okulonda nga wazira nsonga gye bakuwa eretegerekeka. Singa oba osibibwa kuba ojja kwagana nti ba politicians gye tuveeyo mu bifo ebyendawulo abandi bajja kubagema ku lunaku olw'okulonda. Ba agents ba politician abo bona bajja kubagema abandi. So embeera eyo yona kasitebaawo mu kifo yona gy'osangibwa gema namba y'esimu ya bwereere. Iwali eyo ali kumpulira tulira namba y'esimu ya bwereere. Kuba isimu etandikibwa ku 08 08 00 35 53 55. Namba ey'essimu ogikuba ng'obona waliwo okumeno okw'amateeka oba okutyoboola okw'amateeka. Rapid team ey'abalooya abaswika 7. Looya yena akuli okumpi ajja kuba ategeezebwa abe nga kutuukako. Ensonga eno tuli kugikola olw'okuba nti twenda okuba nga tubona nti okulonda kuno okubaawo kuba kwa bwenkanya. Kubenga buli muntu bamuwaire equal ground okuba nga 1 campaigninga, 2 abantu bona balonda okusinziira ku muntu gwe bakola ki gwe benda. So naye ensonga zenga akiikirira ekitongole kya Uganda Law Society atyama ku kakiiko akafuzi kyendi kuba nga ntegeeza abantu. Thank you.
Mr. President.